I thought that life had finally settled down, not problem-free, not perfectly, but steady. And I had finally found the rhythm that I could live in. But then life interrupted me, not with a quote, not with a warning, with a glass door. One second I was running, and the other second I was lying on the floor with blood all over and what should have been a broken nose. But before you think this video is about an accident, it isn't. Because broken noses heal and concussions get better. But what doesn't heal as quickly is what happens to your mind when everything suddenly goes quiet and every distraction is out of the way. I think that we spend so much of our time in motion that we forget what silence actually sounds like. Before this happened, I thought I was doing well. I was creating, I was working, I was living, I was seeing people that I loved. And if you asked me, I would have said, yeah, life is good right now. And I would have meant it. But looking back at it, I wasn't really present, I was just moving. Because I stopped reading at night and started doom scrolling on my phone instead. And every small gap in my day just got filled with noise. A screen, a video, a distraction. If I was waiting for food, I was on my phone. And walking, I was on my phone, scrolling TikTok. And 5 seconds alone, a phone. You know, I convinced myself that because I was active, I was living. But movement and present, they're not the same thing. And then everything stopped. No gym, no late nights, no endless scrolling. Because it was just me and my thoughts. And I didn't have a phone that I could just go on TikTok to cope with my thoughts. I hated it at first. Because silence has a way of showing you things that you've been avoiding. And I need to admit something that I'm not proud of. I thought that I had figured life out. And I thought that I had figured myself out at the young age of 16. Not in a loud way where I was just telling everybody how I was doing and how great life was, but rather quietly, because I had been through a lot already and I had learned how to manage my thoughts and I had grown. So somewhere along the way, I started believing that I was further than I actually was. And I confused progress with completion. And that changes everything. It does. Because growth doesn't stop when you become better than who you were. No, it stops when you start questioning yourself. And life has its own way of humbling you when that happens. Not because you're doing everything wrong, but because you're still human. I could still hurt people like I did. I could still react emotionally like I did. And I could still miss things about myself that I wasn't willing to see, like I did. And I realized something very uncomfortable while in the middle of all of this. I had become comfortable with who I was rather than being committed to who I was supposed to be. Comfort says that I've done enough, while commitment says I'm still becoming. Another thing that this interruption showed me is that how uncomfortable we are with noise. Because the second we are alone, we grab a screen, we grab a phone, noise, something to distract us. Anything to avoid what's happening inside of our own heads. And I'm not saying this from above it. I'm saying it because I am it. I realized that I was not addicted to my phone. I was addicted to not having to sit with my own thoughts. Silence introduced me to parts of myself that I had been avoiding. And that made me ask a question that I had never asked myself probably before. Just how much of my clarity have I delayed? Just because I refused and I never allowed myself to be still enough to find it. How much of my clarity have I delayed just because I never allowed myself to be still enough to find it? You know, life doesn't always interrupt you because you're on the wrong path. Sometimes it interrupts you because you have stopped noticing the one that you're on, and that changes the way that you look at everything around you. And the question stops being, why is all of this? Why is life happening to me? And it becomes, what is this trying to show me instead? What is all of this life trying to show me? Because some lessons, they don't arrive as advice. Some lessons, they arrive as interruptions. And sometimes a concussion. I don't know what interruptions life is going to throw at you. But I hope it's not painful, and I hope it's not sudden. But at some point, it will come and it will slow you down. And when it does, the instinct is usually to escape it and to rush back to what's normal. But maybe the better question is, what if this is normal? What if this is the moment you finally see yourself clearly enough to change? Because if life interrupted me tomorrow, I don't think it would be to break me. I think it would be to remind me that I'm still becoming.